I'm still disgusted thinking about it. A grown woman accused me of being racist, called me the B word, then spat right at my feet, all because I wouldn't bend down to pick up a bag of rice that was literally touching her shoes. And the worst part, this happened just minutes after I'd gone out of my way to help a sweet elderly lady who couldn't reach the top shelf. Let me take you back to how it all started. It was one of those rare afternoons when I had the house to myself. No kids, no rush, so I headed to Walmart in my usual off-duty uniform. Ripped jeans, flip-flops, and an old Disneyland t-shirt. Nothing about me said employee, but apparently that didn't matter. I was walking down an aisle when I noticed a tiny older woman, barely 5 feet tall, standing on her tiptoes, straining to reach a bag of red beans on the highest shelf. She looked so determined, yet completely stuck. I couldn't just walk past, so I smiled, said, "Need a hand?" and grabbed it for her. She lit up, started thanking me in rapid Spanish. I did my best to keep up. We even had a little chat. She complimented my accent, which honestly made me feel great. I ended up helping her with one more item in the next aisle, wished her a good day, and went on my way. Helping her felt pretty good. That good feeling lasted all of about 5 minutes. That's when this other woman stormed up to me like I owed her something. This woman, who I'm just gonna call Entitlement Barbie, because Trailer Park Girl felt too easy, barrels toward me like I've personally offended her. She's got this sneer already forming on her face, like she's been waiting for me. She stops right in front of me, points a long, acrylic nail at a massive bag of rice sitting on the bottom shelf, practically at her feet, and barks, "Hey, get me that rice." I blinked. Did she just order me? I mean, I just helped someone, but that was clearly a reach issue, not a "I'm too lazy to bend over" issue. "Oh, I'm sorry," I said, trying to be polite despite her already aggressive vibe. "I don't actually work here." That's when her face truly twisted. "What do you mean you don't work here?" she screeched, her voice echoing a little too loudly. "I just saw you helping that other woman," and her eyes darted to where the sweet petite lady had disappeared. "So you'll help her, but you won't help me? What is it because I'm white? Are you racist or something?" My jaw dropped. Racist, me? After just having the most wholesome interaction with a Spanish-speaking lady? "Excuse me," I shot back, utterly flabbergasted. "Racist? Are you serious right now?" I helped that lady because she couldn't reach something on the top shelf, not because of her ethnicity. "You're asking me to pick up a bag of rice that's literally at your feet." I gestured wildly at my Disney shirt, my ripped jeans. "Do I look like I'm on the clock, lady? I don't work here." Her eyes narrowed to slits. "Don't you talk to me like that, you be?" And before I could even process the insult, she leaned forward and actually spat on the floor, right at my feet, a disgusting, wet glob. Then, with a final hateful glare, she spun on her heel and stomped away, muttering about reporting me to management for my attitude. I just stood there, stunned. My warm, fuzzy feeling had officially morphed into pure, unadulterated rage and disgust. I could feel my face burning. She just spat at me. Shaking, I immediately marched over to the nearest checkout. "Excuse me," I said to the bewildered cashier. I just had a customer spit on the floor at me because I wouldn't pick up a bag of rice for her from the bottom shelf. The cashier's eyes went wide, and she quickly called a manager over, who was suitably horrified and apologetic. Offering to review security footage, but honestly, I just wanted to get out of there. My shopping spree was officially ruined. As I walked out into the parking lot, the disgust lingered. Some people, man, they just ooze entitlement and venom. I went from feeling great about helping someone genuinely in need to being accused of racism and spat on by a grown woman over a bag of rice on the floor. It really makes you question humanity sometimes. So, yeah, be kind to others, absolutely, but also be ready for the occasional goblin who thinks your existence implies servitude, and definitely don't let anyone spit on you, unless it's a water park. Then it's fine. Thanks for letting me vent, y'all. Stay safe out there, and don't let the entitled ones get you down.
Hey, real quick before the next one, if you're enjoying this, subscribing helps a lot. All right, story number 3 coming up.
You know those moments when you just know your day is about to take a hard left turn, even before it does? Well, I had one of those days, and it ended with a side of extra entitlement, courtesy of a classic Karen. Buckle up, folks, 'cause this one's a doozy. I was absolutely wiped. My shift had felt like a week, not a day, and then the bus decided to play bumper cars for what felt like an eternity. By the time I finally dragged my sorry self home, my stomach was practically eating itself. I could have scrounged something from the fridge, sure, but what I really craved was comfort. And for me, that comfort comes in a greasy, cheesy, perfect slice from Vinny's Pies, a little family-owned joint that just gets it. The staff are always super friendly, the atmosphere's chill, and the pizza, chef's kiss. I walked in, the bell above the door giving a happy little jingle, and took my usual seat at the counter. The smell of oregano and melting cheese was pure bliss. I ordered my go-to slice, a pepperoni, and settled in, ready for a few minutes of blissful peace before heading home for the night. My dark gray, the Smiths band tee, my unofficial uniform for relaxing, felt heavy on my shoulders. And that's when she waltzed in. You know the type, right? Hair perfectly coiffed, expensive-looking handbag clutched like a weapon, and an air of superiority so thick you could practically cut it with a pizza cutter. Karen. Her eyes immediately scanned the room, not for a menu, but for someone to dominate. I watched her like a slow-motion car crash, a sick feeling brewing in my gut as her gaze, for some inexplicable reason, landed squarely on me. I was just trying to mind my business, scrolling through my phone while I waited for my slice, but I could feel the gears turning in her head. Sure enough, as soon as my slice hit the counter, she was there, looming. "Excuse me." Her voice was sharp, cutting through the pleasant murmur of the pizzeria. "Do you work here?" I barely looked up. "No, ma'am, I don't," I said, trying to be polite, gesturing vaguely at the actual staff buzzing around behind the counter, just waiting for my pizza. She scoffed, a truly theatrical sound. "Don't be ridiculous. You're wearing a uniform." She pointed a perfectly manicured finger at my chest. I glanced down at my band tee. This is my band shirt," I replied, a small, tight smile on my face. "I'm just a customer, same as you." My slice was right there, cooling. My stomach rumbled in protest. "Nonsense," she snapped, her voice rising a notch. "You're obviously trying to avoid serving me. I need a menu now." Her eyes narrowed, practically daring me to defy her. I took a slow breath. My peace, my sacred pizza moment, was officially being invaded. "Ma'am, I assure you I don't work here." "I can't get you a menu." I tried to keep my tone even, but my patience was wearing thinner than a communion wafer. Just then Marie, one of the younger servers who knows my regular order, walked by. She paused, seeing the standoff. "Is everything all right here, Jace?" she asked, her voice soft but alert. Karen immediately pivoted her aggression. "Oh, finally, someone who actually works here. This man here is refusing to do his job. He's been incredibly rude." She gestured at me with outrage. Marie, bless her heart, gave me a sympathetic look before turning to Karen. "Ma'am, with all due respect, Jace doesn't work here. He's a regular customer, just enjoying his dinner." Karen's face went from pale to a startling shade of crimson. "Don't you dare contradict me. I know an employee when I see one. He was clearly trying to ignore me, and now you're covering for him." "I demand to speak to your manager." A vein was starting to throb visibly on her forehead. And like a beacon called by the siren song of a difficult customer, Vinny himself, the owner, emerged from the kitchen, wiping his hands on his apron. He took in the scene, Karen red-faced, Marie looking exasperated, and me just wanting to eat my damn pizza. "Is there a problem here, folks?" Vinny asked, his voice calm but with an underlying steel. He's a big guy, and his presence usually diffuses things. "Yes, there's a huge problem," Karen shrieked, practically vibrating with indignation. "Your employee, pointing a dagger-like finger at me again, refused to serve me, and then this young lady lied for him. I expect better service from a place like this." Vinny looked from Karen to me, then back to Marie. Marie just shook her head slightly. Vinny's gaze softened when it landed on me, then hardened a fraction as he turned to Karen. "Ma'am," he said, very slowly, "Jace is one of our best customers. He doesn't work here. He's never worked here. He's here to eat a slice just like you could be." He paused, letting that sink in. "Now, I'd be happy to take your order, but I won't have you yelling at my customers or my staff." Karen sputtered, completely outmatched by Vinny's calm authority. She glared at me one last time, a look of pure, unadulterated hatred, before huffing loudly and finally placing her order with Vinny. He took it, polite as ever, but you could tell he was done. As Karen stalked off to a table to seethe while she waited for her food, Vinny came over to me. "Jace, my friend, I am so sorry about that," he said, shaking his head. "On the house, okay? Another slice or whatever you want." I smiled truly, Thanks, Vinny, I appreciate it, but honestly, I just want to finish this one in peace now, I said, patting my cooling pepperoni. It's all good, just another day, right? He chuckled. Another day, indeed. He gave me a reassuring pat on the shoulder, and I finally got to sink my teeth into that delicious, cheesy goodness. From my vantage point, I could still see Karen, now muttering angrily to herself, occasionally throwing venomous glances my way. But by then, a collective sigh of relief seemed to sweep through the other customers at the counter. A few gave me discreet thumbs up, others exchanged eye rolls with Marie, who just winked at me. Karen eventually got her pizza, but the triumph was ours. She didn't get to ruin my evening, or anyone else's, not really. As I left Vinny's, pizza coma setting in, I felt a quiet satisfaction. Yeah, she was a pain, but sometimes, just standing your ground, eating your damn pizza, and letting the professionals handle it is the real win. So there you have it, folks, another wild ride through the wonderful world of r/IDontWorkHereLady. Until next time, stay safe out there, and for the love of all that is holy, check the logo.
You ever have one of those grocery trips where you just know something's gonna go sideways? Most days, a trip to the commissary is just that, a trip to the commissary. You grab your milk, maybe some snacks, and get out. But not this day. This day decided to serve up a side of full-blown public drama, complete with a snotty kid and an unexpected military escort. I was just trying to get some groceries, minding my own business after a particularly brutal Tuesday, when I felt a sharp, insistent tap on my shoulder. I turned to find this girl, probably 12 or 13, standing there. She wasn't just her age, though. The sheer entitlement radiating off her was almost palpable, like a bad cologne. Her arms were crossed, and she had this little smirk that just screamed, "I'm important, you're not." "Excuse me," she said, her voice surprisingly squeaky, yet incredibly authoritative. "Can you help me find something?" I looked at her, then down at my own overflowing shopping cart, trying to figure out if she was kidding. I mean, yeah, I shop at the commissary, but I'm definitely not an employee. I just wanted my almond milk, and to be done with the day. "I'm sorry, sweetie," I said, trying to keep my voice even, "but I don't actually work here. I'm just doing my own shopping." Her eyes, however, rolled so hard I swear she almost looked at her own brain. "Oh, come on, you're lying," she scoffed, stamping her foot just a little. My jaw probably dropped a bit. "Excuse me, I am absolutely not lying. I really, truly don't work here." My patience, already thin from a long day, was starting to fray. She glared at me as if I were personally insulting her very existence. "My father is a rear admiral," she announced, puffing out her chest. "You better not be lying to me." "Okay, honey, I get it. Your dad's important." My internal eye roll was probably visible from orbit, but I just stood there, stunned by her audacity. "Okay," I said, trying to hold on to the last shreds of politeness. "That's nice. But I still don't work here." That was apparently the wrong answer. She started a full-on tirade. Accusations of being unhelpful, lazy, disrespectful to military families, the irony, all at an ever-increasing volume. People were starting to stare. A part of me wanted to just walk away and abandon my cart, but another part was just too stunned by the spectacle, and frankly, a little pissed off that this kid thought she could just yell at strangers in public. She was pointing a perfectly manicured finger at me, practically spitting out her words. It wasn't just yelling, it was a performance. Then, like a beacon of justice in a sea of grocery aisles, I heard it, the distinct sound of heavy-duty boots approaching. My head snapped up to see a master at arms, a burly guy with a no-nonsense expression, making his way through the crowd that had gathered. "Hey, what's going on here?" he asked, his voice calm but firm, looking between us. He directed his next question to me, "Everything all right, ma'am?" But she wasn't done. Oh no. She immediately turned her laser focus and her now-shrieking voice on him. "She's lying to me. She won't help me find anything, and she says she doesn't work here. My father is a rear admiral, and you should make her help me." The MAA's expression didn't change, but his eyes narrowed just a fraction. He quickly but firmly took her by the arm, pulling her slightly away from me. All right, kid, that's enough. You're causing a scene and you're disrupting the peace. She started to struggle, still yelling, but he held her securely. He wasn't aggressive, but he was absolutely in charge. Calm down. Let's go have a little chat with your parents. The MAA then escorted the still protesting girl away, his broad back shielding me from her final, indignant glares. I stood there for a moment, my heart still thumping a bit, completely shell-shocked. The small crowd dispersed, a few people giving me sympathetic looks or quiet nods. I finished my shopping in a daze. A few minutes later, as I was still trying to calm down by the frozen foods, a man in a crisply ironed uniform, looking visibly mortified, approached me. "Ma'am," he started, looking genuinely apologetic, "I'm so incredibly sorry for my daughter's behavior. She knows better. She's usually not like this, I promise. We're going to have a very serious discussion." I just nodded, still a little stunned, but trying to be gracious. "It's okay," I managed. "Kids, they have their moments." He thanked me again, looking utterly miserable, and quickly left. And that, my friends, is how I learned that sometimes a simple grocery run can turn into a dramatic display of entitlement, only to be diffused by a master-at-arms and followed by a very humbling apology from a rear admiral. Definitely a story for the grandkids.
You think the first two were crazy, the next one's a whole different level. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss more stories like this.
Ever have one of those days where you just wanted to grab a gallon of paint, but ended up in a full-blown verbal sparring match with a stranger? Yeah, that was me last Tuesday at Home Depot. I'm Bryce, and normally I'm just cruising through the aisles, humming some forgotten pop song, minding my own business. I was in the fasteners section, mentally planning out my next DIY project when the peace was shattered. A loud, booming voice, just a few aisles over, cut through the usual store din. "What the hell is wrong with you people?" the man roared, his voice thick with unbridled rage. "You're supposed to know where the damn screws are. Are you blind? Are you stupid?" My head snapped up. I could see a young guy, probably just out of high school, wearing the signature orange apron. He looked absolutely shell-shocked, shoulders hunched, trying to point meekly at a display, but the older man was just steamrolling him. His face was a bead, a vein practically throbbing in his temple. And the kid, poor Leo, just looked like he was about to burst into tears. Now I'm no vigilante, and usually I'd just speed walk past. But something about this guy's sheer nastiness, coupled with the employee's obvious distress, just snapped inside me. This wasn't just a rude customer, this was a straight-up bully. So I took a deep breath, dropped my bundle of lumber, and started walking towards them. "Hey, buddy," I said, my voice cutting through his tirade, hopefully calmer than I felt. "There's really no need to talk to him like that." The man, a big dude with a patchy gray beard and a perpetually scowling face, spun around, his eyes like daggers. He was clearly expecting another timid employee. "Who the hell are you?" he barked, puffing up his chest. "Mind your own business." I stopped about 5 feet from him, crossing my arms. "My business is seeing someone being treated like dirt," I replied, trying to keep my tone even though my jaw was tight. "And frankly, you're doing a fantastic job of it. This young man is just trying to help you." He actually scoffed, a truly ugly sound. "He's useless. I just need some screws, and he's just standing there like a bloody idiot." He pointed a stubby, angry finger at Leo, who flinched. "Well, screaming at him isn't going to make those screws magically appear, is it?" I shot back, a hint of steel entering my voice. "Maybe if you treated him with an ounce of respect, you'd find he's actually pretty good at his job." The man stared at me, his bluster starting to falter just a tiny bit. He probably realized I wasn't an employee he could threaten with a manager, nor someone easily intimidated. He looked around as if expecting backup, but it was just me, him, and a very wide-eyed Leo. I'm in a hurry," he stammered, his face still red, but the anger was now laced with a dash of embarrassment. "I don't know where anything is in this store." "We all get frustrated," I conceded, nodding slightly. "But that doesn't give you a free pass to treat people like trash. Especially not someone who's just trying to earn a living." I paused, letting that sink in. "Now I think you owe this young man an apology." His eyes widened again, and he actually took a small step back. "An apology," he repeated, like I'd asked him to swim to the moon. "Yeah, an apology," I confirmed, uncrossing my arms and gesturing towards Leo. "For the yelling, for the insults. He doesn't deserve it." He hesitated, shifting his weight, clearly wrestling with his ego. Leo, meanwhile, was just staring at me like I'd grown a second head. Finally, the man mumbled something under his breath. "I didn't quite catch that," I said, raising an eyebrow. "Loud enough for him to hear, please." He glared at me, then at Leo, then down at his feet. "Fine," he grumbled, barely audible. "Look, kid, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have yelled. I'm just stressed." It wasn't exactly heartfelt, but it was an apology, and I could see the tension drain from Leo's face, replaced by a flicker of surprised relief. "Good," I said, giving the man a firm nod. "Now, maybe try asking nicely, and Leo here can actually help you find what you need." He just muttered something unintelligible, grabbed his cart, and practically power-walked away down a different aisle, clearly wanting nothing more than to be rid of me. I turned to Leo, who was still looking a bit stunned. "You okay, man?" He slowly nodded, a shaky breath escaping him. Yeah, I think so. I don't know what just happened. Thank you." "Hey, you did nothing wrong," I told him gently. "That guy was just a jerk with a bad day who decided to take it out on you. Don't let it get to you." Just then, a manager and a security guard came around the corner, having apparently heard the commotion. After I quickly explained what went down, confirming Leo's story, the security guard nodded gravely. "We've had issues with that guy before," he said, pulling out a walkie-talkie. "He won't be back. Thanks for stepping in, sir." Leo looked visibly relieved at that news. I finished my shopping, feeling a little more righteous than usual, and headed home. Never saw the angry screw-seeker again. But a few weeks later, I was back at Home Depot, grabbing some more supplies. I saw Leo in the plumbing aisle, chatting with an older lady, pointing her towards some PVC pipes. He actually looked confident, smiling. When he saw me, his eyes lit up. "Bryce," he called out, coming over. "Hey, how's it going?" "Going well, Leo. You too, by the looks of it," I replied, genuinely pleased to see him. "Yeah, things are good," he grinned. "Haven't seen that guy since, and honestly, I feel a lot more confident dealing with tough customers now. That day, you really helped me out. It showed me that I don't have to just take it." We chatted for a few more minutes, and his genuine gratitude was a powerful reminder. It's a small thing, right? Just a random guy sticking up for a kid at a hardware store. But sometimes, those small things are exactly what someone needs. So yeah, that's my story. It's a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference, even in the smallest of ways. And who knows? Maybe one day you'll be the one standing up for someone else. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.
All right, Reddit, buckle up. Do you know those "I don't work here lady" stories? The ones where some entitled stranger yells at you because they think you're an employee? Yeah, we've all read them. But today, I've got a twist for you. This isn't about me not working somewhere. It's about someone else unknowingly stepping into my non-existent job, and the whole thing turned into something genuinely beautiful. So I'm Ethan, and like a lot of you, I've got my routines. My Saturday morning grocery run, that's sacred. Same store, same order of aisles, same quiet pride in how efficiently I can navigate the jungle of organic kale and artisan cheeses. I practically know the stock numbers by heart. One particularly bustling Saturday, I was on my usual hunt for coffee beans when I spotted her. An elderly woman, maybe late 80s, clutching a walker like it was her lifeline, teetering precariously in the cereal aisle. Her eyes, magnified behind thick glasses, scanned the shelves with a mix of frustration and exhaustion. My gut just clenched. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want to help? "Ma'am, everything all right? Can I grab anything for you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice gentle over the store's music. She jumped a little, then looked up at me, her face softening into a weary smile. "Oh, bless you, dear. I'm just having a dreadful time today. My balance isn't what it used to be, and I can't quite reach my usual cornflakes." She pointed a shaky finger at a box on the second-to-top shelf. I didn't hesitate. "No problem at all. Hand me your list. I'll be your legs today." She looked hesitant for a second, then a small, hopeful smile spread across her face as she fumbled in her purse for a crinkled list. Oh, you're a lifesaver. My name's Alina, by the way. And just like that, Alina and I were off. I zipped around that store like a pro, fetching everything on her list, from the elusive low-sodium broth to her favorite brand of digestive biscuits. We chatted a little, mostly her thanking me reassuring her it was no big deal. When we got to checkout, she tried to press a crumpled $10 bill into my hand. For your trouble, dear, you've been so kind. I waved it off with a genuine smile. Alina, honestly, it was my pleasure. Just glad I could help. She squeezed my hand, her eyes twinkling with a gratitude that just warmed me right through. I won't forget this, Ethan. You're a true gentleman. And she didn't. From that day on, it became our thing. Every Saturday around 10 a.m., I'd find Alina near the produce section, sometimes already waiting, sometimes just starting her slow journey. I'd grab her cart, take her list, and we'd navigate the weekly shop together. We'd talk about her grandkids, the weather, my college classes. She was sharp as a tack, funny, and just genuinely lovely. Our weekly shopping trip became a highlight for both of us. She even started calling me her grocery guardian angel. It felt good, like I was making a small, consistent difference. Then, about a month ago, life threw a wrench in my perfect routine. My sister had a sudden medical emergency and I had to drop everything and drive 2 states away. I felt awful about Alina. I tried to call the store thinking maybe they could help her, but I didn't have her number, and just explaining the situation to a manager felt weird. I worried about her all week, picturing her struggling alone in those busy aisles. The next Saturday, as soon as I was back in town, I rushed to the store, my heart in my throat. I practically sprinted for me anyway through the main entrance, scanning for her, and then I saw her. There she was by the deli counter, chatting away with another young guy. My first thought was a confused, almost possessive, "Hey, that's my Alina." My second thought, the dude was wearing a maroon polo shirt and khaki pants. The exact same kind of uniform I often wore when I was actually working my part-time retail job across town. The colors were even eerily similar to the store's own uniform policy, though this wasn't that specific store. He was pushing her cart, patiently listening to her, just like I did. My eyebrows practically hit my hairline. He'd been mistaken for me, or maybe for an actual employee. Or maybe Alina, bless her heart, had just found a new grocery guardian angel. A pang of something that felt suspiciously like mild jealousy hit me, followed quickly by relief. Someone was helping her. I walked over, feeling a little awkward. Alina looked up, her face lighting up immediately. "Ethan, oh honey, you're back. I was so worried about you." She reached for my hand, her grip surprisingly strong. The young guy, who looked to be in his early 20s, turned to me, a polite but slightly confused expression on his face. "Oh, hey man, you work here too?" Before I could answer, Alina chimed in, "This is Ethan, dear, my wonderful friend who usually helps me with my shopping. He was away last week and you were so kind to step in." And then I noticed a man, older, probably Alina's age, standing a little behind the younger guy. He stepped forward. "You must be Ethan," he said, extending a hand. "I'm Robert, Alina's son, and this is my son, Michael. Mom told us all about you. We've been so touched by your kindness to her." I shook his hand, feeling a blush creep up my neck. "Oh, it's really nothing. Alina's a great lady." Robert smiled, a genuine, warm smile. "No, it's truly something. We live a few hours away and we worry about her doing this alone. We just couldn't believe it when she told us this young man," he gestured to Michael, "stepped up when you weren't here." Michael was visiting and he saw Mom struggling and just jumped right in. He said he figured if you could do it, he could too. Michael just shrugged, a little embarrassed. "Just doing what you do, man." And then Robert turned to me again, his smile widening. "Seeing as you're such a regular fixture here and clearly so good with people, I actually happen to know the district manager for this chain. If you ever wanted to look into something more permanent, I could put in a really good word for you." My jaw almost hit the floor. He still thought I worked here, or at least that I was some kind of highly dedicated, unpaid intern. I could have corrected him. I should have corrected him. But the sheer gratitude radiating from him, from Alina, from Michael, it just felt wrong to burst their bubble. Instead, I just nodded, a warm feeling spreading through my chest. "Thank you, Robert. That's really kind of you to offer. We chatted for a few more minutes and then they were off, Eleanor blowing me a kiss as Robert wheeled her away, Michael walking beside them, already planning their next visit to help his grandmother. Standing there in the middle of that busy grocery store, I realized something pretty profound. Yeah, it was an I don't work here moment, but it wasn't about confrontation. It was about connection. My small act of kindness had snowballed, inspiring someone else to do the same and then another person to recognize that spirit. It wasn't about who wore the uniform or who got paid. It was about showing up for someone. So the next time you see someone struggling, please just reach out. You never know what kind of chain reaction you might set off. You might just become someone's grocery guardian angel, and maybe, just maybe, you'll inspire someone else to step into your non-existent shoes when you can't be there. And honestly, that's a pretty sweet legacy to leave.
This next video hits the same vibe. Check it out.